Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Bibliomancy for Beginners. This is the final episode of this season of our main line. It's my pick, and unfortunately, Gretchen couldn't make it because she had to work all day today. And didn't have a chance to read the book, which I get it. And nobody else ever got back to me, probably because there's vampires in it. But, whatever. Me and Taylor can do the thing.
And unfortunately, your internet didn't decide to show up either.
Oh no, my internet never shows up. My internet's like one of those shifty people who's like, oh yeah, I'll be there. And then leaves 30 minutes into the event. Okay, so Taylor, you want to introduce yourself to people?
Hi,
there's
I'm
nobody
Taylor.
else here.
For once, I'm not at the end of the list, and I am slowly sweating to death. I'm not sure where that was going. I started something else, and it's hot here and humid. I don't do well with those.
Yeah.
That's my introduction.
That's my only cooling device, and it's not very good at its job.
My cooling device is a pond, so maybe I should just stream while waist deep in it.
I mean, you would definitely be cooler. It's just dangerous, because electronics plus water, not good friends. Not dangerous to you, dangerous to the electronics, by the way, because the pond is big enough that any electrical discharge wouldn't hurt you. But it would hurt the computer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm Michaela. Nice to meet you. This is my pick. I don't have anything fancy to say. I think I'm going to talk about the second volume of The Wicked and the Divine tomorrow on my blog, which is pretty good, and my Monday Musing post was a response to a booktubers post on positivity, and they tweeted me out, which was really great. So you should go check. Tweeted me out as a good thing. Said, hey, this is a good response to my thing. Did it sound...
Your connection, oof.
Oh, yeah. Am I like a robot? Because, yeah.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. Currently, I don't... So there's a graph that's showing me what my internet's doing. This is how big the graph is. This is where my internet usually is. Right now, it's about here.
Yeah. I can
I'm
tell.
sorry, friend. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it. We'll do our best to not sound like really shit. If you can't understand me, just tell me. I'll try and repeat myself.
Okay.
Okay?
How's my call quality?
You're fine. At least on my end.
Good enough.
Yes, that's all I have to say. Today we read Skid Trade by Laurel K Hamilton, which is technically book number 17 in the Native Like Vampire Hunter series.
17.
17 of 23
17.
or so now. I think they're at. I just realized that the back of this book does not have anything written on it, so I need to look at the Goodreads page real quick. Fair warning, this is a book club. We do talk about the events and characters of the thing, but we always give a spoiler-free overall recommendation where we talk about the positives and negatives without spoiling the events, so you don't have to worry about that. And I will read the Goodreads description of it once it comes up. Hold for internet dying. Okay. Am I still here?
Barely, but yes.
Okay. That's better than not being here, though. When a vampire serial killer sends Anita Blake a grisly souvenir from Las Vegas, she has to warn Sin City's local authorities what they're dealing with, only it's worse than she thought. Police officers and one executioner have been slain. Paranormal style. Hashtag paranormal style. Crazy.
I hate to ask, do you think we should just cut our videos?
It might help, honestly.
And I think now would be the time to go for it.
Okay.
All right, because I'd rather be able to hear you than look at your Deadpool hat, as nice as it is.
It is a great Deadpool hat, though. I'm fine with that, though.
Okay. Out of solidarity, I will drop out as well. But that's
Am
fine.
I here? Did that work better? Can you hear me better?
Not greatly, but, it's a good start.
Okay.
You're smoothing out. Go ahead.
I am smoothing out? Okay, that's good. Do you want to give your overall impression of this? Also, there might be swearing. I always, don't say it fast enough, so I'm going to say that right now. There might be swearing. Okay, Taylor, your overall impression of this.
This was not the first urban fantasy book I've read. This actually wasn't the first Anita Blake I've read. The first half or so of this book was a bit rough for me for reasons I'll get into later, but simply it focused on a lot of things that were well established within the novels, the previous ones, and worked well, and it wasn't poorly written or anything like that. It just didn't interest me as much as not a follower of the series, I guess, or maybe it was just personal preference. However, in the second half, focus changed, the scenes varied out a bit in what was happening, and I really started enjoying this a lot more. The dialogue was always snappy and fun, and the characters were interesting, and it was a world I did not have any issue being inside. So definitely, by the second half, I had a great time. Back to you. Not back to you?
Oh, back to me.
Back to you.
I really love Anita Blake, and I have read all 23 of these books, and I think out of all of them, this might not be my favorite, but it's definitely top 5. Maybe top 3. Probably more like top 5, though. But I picked this one particularly because it had that good range of basically everything that this series has in it. Paranormal, politics, plus vampire hunting, plus sexy times every once in a while. And
were they sexy?
Hashtag twins. Yeah, so I really love it. I picked it because of that. I mostly picked it, though, because Gretchen had been complaining that we complain all the time about YA books and her constantly picking YA books. So I was willing to pick something that I really care about, but isn't everybody's cup of tea, which is 1, a romance book, but 2, a paranormal-based romance book, because it's sort of gotten a bad rap over the years. Hashtag Twilight. I'm in a hashtag phase today. I don't know why. Everything is a hashtag. I can
see that. Just live it up.
Living it. I've been on Twitter too much, I think is what it is.
Probably. On the mention, though, I'm going to say I was a little bit disappointed with the twin action in that this isn't really a spoiler. Like, the 2 main sex scenes in this, there were 2 men for both of them, basically, present. And it always resulted in, like, one guy just kind of, looking at his watch while the narrative ignored him. So it glosses over what they're doing in that time, but you just have to imagine them, kind of twiddling their thumbs, maybe eating popcorn, but, like, I don't know. Do you think Vicious? What's the other brother? Truth and Michaela, answer me this. I can't remember names.
Who?
Anyway, what was that?
Who?
The other brother, Truth and
Wicked. They're the Wicked Truth.
Wicked. Okay, yeah. So I'm kind of imagining Wicked with his foam finger rooting on his brother. He sits there.
I feel
still
like,
naked.
I feel like he arrived halfway through, though. Like, he wasn't there for the beginning of it.
Oh, no. Truth showed up afterwards, and that was fun.
Yeah.
But then Truth has his turn, and you just have to think, like, Wicked is there. You know,
like
kind of
that
staring at his flaccid junk.
Oh, goodness. Is there anything else that you want to say about that? Or is that it? Just how awkward that is? Taylor, are you still here? Am I not here? Is one of us not here? Or more likely, no.
Wow. Let's get.
You hear me?
I just got that bit.
Okay. Maybe it's coming back. Sorry, this has been happening the last couple of times, folks. My internet's like really shitty where it like decides it doesn't want to work for like 30 seconds to a minute. So what were you saying? Because I couldn't hear you at all.
I had just finished up the twin talk.
Oh, okay.
So, we can actually get underway.
Yes. Now there will for sure be spoilers, because that wasn't really a spoiler. It doesn't spoil anything of the plot. That was just us talking about sex logistics. There will definitely be spoilers from this point on. Also, I already told you there's going to be swearing. And we always start with our favorite part so that we can start on a high note. So, do you have a favorite part, Taylor?
I did, or perhaps this was just the part that interested me most. The scene where that group of vampires, the 10 of them, were mind-controlled and had abducted all these hostages. But sort of the afterword where, you know, the Anita and the others are explaining that they are required by law to, you know, kill all of these vampires, you know, take them in and just kill them immediately. And that's not really something of any wiggle room. And they don't seem overly phased by this, because even with Anita's reluctance, that's something she's very much, you know, used to. That's how it has to go. But the other guys are like, no, we want to try this new thing, you know, like this new kind of political plea to hold up in court. And that was a really interesting moment for me, because they start discussing the logistics of this, the law that is formed in this society.
Right.
And I thought that was really cool. And then it just became kind of a single sentence at the end where, like, hey, guess what? That dude totally, you know, the judge accepted it. We're fine. Great job, kids. And so I guess that was both an up and a down for me, because it was a really interesting look into the world and one I would love to learn more about. But at the same time, like, I really wanted to see more of that, and it was such a non-thing.
Right.
I understand it would need an entire book to itself, really.
Yeah.
But I did really enjoy that.
I agree, and I do feel like that is sort of a common Anita Blake book thing. It's like there's like a last paragraph where we get a bunch of wrap-up sentences to sort of, not to tie in loose ends, but just to let you know that there were things that were happening behind the scenes of the action. Kind of, and being like, this happened, we're not going to show you that because something else more important was happening to Anita at that time, but it happened so that when we go into the next one, you know that something happened here.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense, because she is not a lawyer. She has no reason to, you know, be sitting in that courtroom or really to be overly involved in it, whether or not she supports it. But at the same time, I know those aspects of these worlds are very interesting, and it is a bit of a shame sometimes we don't get to see them.
Yeah, I I feel like that was always one of my favorite things, was seeing how the laws changed over the books, because like I said in the video I made to sort of introduce people to the world, in the first book, she isn't even technically like a law official. She just has this job that everybody accepts and is like, yes, you hunt and kill vampires when they do something wrong. Like, she's not even technically like paid for that. That's just something that, well, she could be paid. And Edward was paid by like a mercenary sort of type thing. Like, you went and said, this is how much you're going to pay me to do that job. It's not like he's on a payroll for somebody for it. But yeah, like seeing the Marshals program being set up, seeing the laws changed and how they treat supernatural creatures who have done, so like this one was talking about people who were forced against their will to hurt people. And because they're vampires, they had to be killed, basically, because any vampire that goes rogue has to be killed. It's part of the law. Even if they were, in this case, not under the control of that. But there's other laws that had to do with wares, and even some of the books that focus more on where communities talk a lot about whether wares should be allowed to like play sports or work at certain jobs, like be teachers, because it's technically like a hazard or an advantage to the sports thing. Like, they're stronger and faster by nature, type stuff. So I don't know. There's a lot of really cool political, like, actual government politics, not just like in between people politics.
But with such short books, because I assume this was not too much of an outlier in its length.
Well, let me see. It's 544 pages.
Very quick 500 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just speaking from the angle that I listened to the whole thing as an audiobook, which took about 6 hours.
Yeah, it was a quick audiobook, but yeah, it's 544 pages in mass market paperback size, though, like not like a huge book. Yeah. And the later books are closer to like 700, 800 pages.
Okay. I was just thinking it makes sense that she has like those couple sentence wrap-ups, because otherwise we'd be there all day.
All day. For me, I think my favorite scene was when Anita was introducing herself to the like supernatural police squad they have. Because that was really cool for me, because this is the first time where both we as readers and she as a law enforcement official is seeing a police department bringing together psychics and others to help them solve crimes, not just as like somebody they call on this specific case, like she is, like she's called on a case-by-case basis, but like assembling a team of police officers for it and SWAT people. Like, it was neat for me to see that. Plus the way they talk to each other and sort of like their nicknames and things was really cheeky and funny to me. I liked it.
Yeah. I enjoyed that too. That was sort of during the up and down period for me.
Yeah.
And since we are moving into least favorite scene, right? Or least favorite part, I think this is a good transition, because in this book that were just extended. We have a couple of those did where animals in the city. And it, but very much in there for me. Did you hear any of that?
I heard every other word, basically. Can you just try again for me, please?
The mental power struggles between Anita and all the weird animals, or the scene after scene after scene of her arguing with the head of the cops in Las Vegas. And none of those scenes in themselves were a problem, because they were always interesting in their goals. Like, they were all scenes that served a purpose.
Yes.
But it also felt that the first half of the book was just entirely conversations
Yes.
with power plays, and without any real variety, that gets old quickly.
Yes. I'd agree. I can see that. I feel like Anita feels that way too, because she's here to solve a crime, but because of her ties to vampires and her ties to these were animals, she's sort of like has her hands tied and has to do all of this like power playing stuff. Then she's like, I really just want to go shoot somebody right now, and you're forcing yourself on me, and I'm just not having it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it totally
yeah, I
especially with the
completely
cons.
agree. Yeah.
But I know all of the were animals where it's like you must try to take like I can't really criticize it because it wouldn't really have made sense if any of these scenes weren't in it.
Yeah.
But I would have liked a bit different pacing on them.
Or maybe something in between them rather than going from one to the next to the next. Because it does seem like she goes from one place where people are doubting her or making her show herself as worthy to another over and over again.
Because the second half they start, investigating, different places and having interesting conversations and throwing out different theories, and then problems happen. And that was all fun and action-packed and everything. And I don't know, the first half, as much as I enjoyed it, was so much of a slog.
So here's what I have to say on that topic. And it's that that was one of the reasons I picked this book, because there are whole Anita Blake books that focus on sort of that thing where it's just people talking about power and who has power and who's struggling to get power. And there are whole Anita Blake books that are just the action-packed murder mystery fighting stuff. But I wanted to pick one that had both of them because not all books are one or the other. So it was mostly like a representation thing, and I do agree that makes the beginning of this book slower. And that's why I kind of wanted to pick Obsidian Butterfly, but Obsidian Butterfly happens at a point in time where Anita's basically she's not in any relationships at all. She gets called by Edward to come do this thing, and she does the thing, and she doesn't interact with anybody that has power except for one vampire. And in that case, she's basically pointing a gun at him. And that's about it. There's like no politics involved. And while that's a more action-packed, exciting book, it's not a good representation of the series as a whole.
This was definitely, from what you've told me and the couple I've read at the beginning of the series, this was a great vertical slice, if you will, of the entire series. So good choice.
I had to read 23 books in order to know that this one was a good choice. But yeah, I tried to do that. And I believe I've said that our friend Anna, who was on our last video, likes the politic books better than the murder mystery ones. And I'm the opposite in that I prefer the ones that are more action-packed murder mystery, she's shooting people all the time books to the political ones. The political ones are interesting because they build the world more, but they're slower to read because not as much is happening. It's all discussions. If that makes sense. So this has a little something for everybody. If you prefer world building and politics and characters having struggles that aren't necessarily fisticuffs, it has that, but it also has people getting shot in the face sometimes. Or sliced in the face, I guess, in this case. Technically.
I do have a question for you, because you have read all of these books, and almost every character in this has at least come up once. Obviously, like, not the police officers, but there are a lot of vampires, a lot of were animals that have all been a part of this series and been introduced in their own time. And did you ever have the feeling that there were too many characters in this book? Many of whom were doing the same thing.
Meaning like redundant characters. I feel I feel often enough that a lot of the were animals can be kind of bland, that they have sort of a stereotypical self, like muscly, fighting with each other constantly over power, type stuff. So
kind of exotic.
yeah, kind of exotic, pretty.
Vaguely exotic in their word choice and structure.
Yeah. Although apparently the tigers are all Asian descent, which I found really interesting. If you're like a natural born tiger and not bitten by a tiger.
Interesting.
They're all Asian descent, which
I was
is an
kind of
interesting
thrown.
thing.
The voice actor made them all sound very Hispanic, so that's a surprise for me.
I find that the were-rats are more Hispanic. Rats and wolves are very Hispanic, but the tigers, I feel like because I read this first as a book and also because I just know from experience from the other books that the tigers are mostly Asian descent. It also might be that a lot of the tigers we met aren't born tigers because it's Las Vegas. There's a lot of Hispanic, Mexican people in that area. So that makes sense as well. But yeah. So yes, I do agree. Some characters can be redundant.
There was also the fourth marshal. Because you have Otto, was it?
Otto Jeffries or Olaf.
Yeah, because Otto at least brings in some, like, conflict with Anita. So he stood out. But the other guy,
Bernardo,
Bernardo, yeah. He was nice enough, but I don't know, he lacked any real definition that I was always forgetting anything I should know about him.
So, I feel bad.
By the way, I just started up here. Can you hear me over the rain?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I really love Bernardo because, so the book I mentioned earlier, Obsidian Butterfly, is where we first meet Olaf Otto Jeffries and Bernardo Spotted Horse. And they're both people that Edward had called in on this case before calling in Anita. And basically over the course of the series, several times the four of them are working together. This being, I think, the first time after Obsidian Butterflies. There's one more after this, I think, in the series. And Bernardo is, or was when you first met him, a love interest of, like, he's a normal guy. He's not a were creature. He's not a vampire. And he was, like, sort of there to be Anita Candy. But he's also kind of comic relief for this group.
Yeah, he seemed like a little less serious than some other ones, yeah. I don't know. I interrupted and now you're gone. I regret everything. Well, I mean, I doubt that my end is still going if hers cut out, seeing as she hosted. But in the off chance that I am still going and she just cut out for a minute, I'm going to fill the awkward silence of 30 seconds or so. And wow, this rain is getting really loud. So I acknowledge that it was entirely, my lack of knowledge in the series that made a lot of these people blend together. So I guess that is something to caution if you jump into the middle of a 23-book series. That you're not going to understand who some people are. And, you're not going to get every bit of personality that has been introduced beforehand. So, fair enough.
That is the problem, is that you can't get redundant characterization. So there was a lot of Bernardo characterization in that first book, and he's just kind of in the background of this one because he's not necessary as much.
Yeah.
He stands up for Anita at one point in this one, and that's kind of important because he willingly has the same image that she has on her for the police department based on just how her life is. Like, he's supposed to be the guy who
You there? Oh no. She's gone again. Well, yeah, in summary for that little tangent, just, I don't know, read some character bios. It's all on Wikipedia, I promise you. It's probably got its own wiki. Just, familiarize yourself with some of the core characters that you're dealing with, and it won't really be an issue. Very loud rain. Wow. She came back for 20 seconds? It's unfortunate. So it's really, I don't know. I did not feel that significantly impacted my reading of the book. It just meant that, sometimes someone will say something and I'll just assume that I don't need to know who they are all the time. Like, they're a cop or they are a marshal, and that's really the important thing. Like, that got me through it. And now I'm really just stalling, so I would appreciate it if Michaela would come back. No? No? How about now? Still no? Oh. No. No. Got nothing. Uh, look, I don't even know what we were supposed to talk about next. Normally I have another person on here when Michaela cuts out. So I can kind of just, rely on them. Right now, I'm not sure what we go to. So, favorite character. So, after my lengthy talk about not really being able to follow which character is which, I chose one of the random cops as my favorite character. Not just to be sardonic, I mean, it just seems somewhat funny in hindsight. Because I really enjoyed the character of Rocco, otherwise known as Cannibal, who is a Las Vegas cop. And hold on. I just got a text from Michaela saying she's got no internet whatsoever. So I'm going to reply asking whether I am actually online. Okay. Michaela?
Oh, I think I'm back. Am I back?
Oh, great. Yeah, I've been trying to stall.
Okay.
I'm on to favorite character.
Fave character.
Yeah, and I was just saying, it seems kind of funny in hindsight that after my talk about how I couldn't really follow who all of the side characters were, and they blurred together a lot of the time for me, and that was fine. But my favorite character wound up just being one of the random cops.
Okay.
Because I really liked Rocco, or Cannibal,
Yes.
the Las Vegas kind of memory magic cop. And I think what really made that for me was not just the fact that he became the most significant of all of them because he was skilled in magic. And so he and Anita had some kind of common ground, and he would often be responsible or involved when magic things happened to her, which they did periodically. But what scene really stood out to me was when he was talking to her. And it's significant because Anita is someone who has gotten a lot of this power and she doesn't really understand most of it, but she's pretty competent in a lot of what she uses. And here's this guy who we realize has these powers and barely knows what they do or how to use them. And he's explaining how he sometimes, like, he has by accident stolen people's memories and how good that felt and how he thinks he could just take everything that makes them up and that can be a part of him and he will grow stronger from it, and just how much that scares him. And that was a really interesting scene for me because, one, it gives him a lot of personality, but because in that moment, I kind of imagined what a world like this would be for people who aren't cops or who don't have some ancient vampire to chat about, their hormonal issues with. That's causing them to absorb people's anger or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, for...
Like how much of a struggle that would be for them?
Like a 20-something who just realizes they feed off of people's emotions.
Right.
And coming to terms with what that means for themselves and their society, but also how they can perceive themselves after that. And
so,
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if she tells this anecdote in this story. I feel like I don't know if she does or not, because the newest book recently came out, and I feel like she said it in that one and not this one, and they're blurring together for me a little bit.
Go on.
She tells this anecdote about how she first learned about her necromancy abilities when she was just an animator, and that when she was very young, when she was very young, her dead dog crawled up out of the earth and like laid in bed with her. And then later in college, one of her professors had committed suicide and ended up walking into her dorm room and just staring at her, because one of the things with animators is that if they don't use their power, the power finds a way to be used. So just dead near them start rising. Which is really awkward if you're a 20-something in college and your professor walks into your thing, but he's clearly not alive.
Yeah.
And had just killed himself.
That's heavy.
Yeah, and she sort of gets flack from her family because it's like a devil ability, like only God is supposed to be able to raise the dead, and like she's messing with fate, and she gets excommunicated by the church because of the same reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still very Christian.
Yeah.
Despite this fact. So yeah, there's sort of some anecdotes through the series where you get to hear like what it's like having this ability that people fear, and how do you deal with that, and like what do you do? Like she can just get a job as an animator and use it regularly. Like that's all she has to do. But if you are somebody who feeds off of people's memories, or what if you're clairvoyant or whatever?
Or I just...
Am I gone again?
I'll just tell the void then when I was going to tell her, and that is... Oh, fine. You just left.
I'm sorry.
Your voice, your connection was great, and then you were gone.
I'm sorry.
Don't scare me like that.
I'm sorry.
That is I suppose a character arc that really interests me in stories. This sudden appearance of power and having to redefine yourself despite that, or trying to maintain a perception of you that does not mean that you are a monster or something like that.
Yeah, that was a major part of some of the earlier books, and even still persists from time to time because of her issues with the sex thing, and basically her wondering whether she is becoming one of the monsters because of everything that's going on in her life.
Yeah.
Because she very clearly, from the beginning, was fighting the monsters, and then she fell in love with some of the monsters, and it makes this giant mushy gray area, and people constantly insult her and question her morals and standing and stuff. And yeah, so that's a huge thing that she goes through over the course of the books is, am I a monster?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Olaf is clearly a monster, despite not being a monster.
Yeah. What a dick.
I think that's taking it lightly, sir.
Well, I don't see very much of him, so I think what a dick is still, close enough.
Yeah. Basically, serial killer / rapist / torturer / just really all around creepy guy. Very creepy.
We get some vibes through his execution methods and like his thigh touching, but it was hard to say.
Basically, his like perfect victim looks exactly like Anita does.
Yeah, they mentioned that. Like, what? At what point can you file sexual harassment? I don't really mean to take sexual harassment lightly, but for fuck's sake.
She's bleeding and you're just fondling her kind of.
That's not workplace appropriate. Is there nothing you can really do about that? Well, no. I mean, the answer is no, and that's kind of unfortunate. Even if there aren't vampires.
The other thing is that while she hates him and is terrified of him, he's good at what he does, and she knows that they need him for what they're doing. So she can't just get him kicked out of the Marshall program because they do need him. And she sort of has this agreement with Edward that if things ever go too far, she's uncomfortable here, but if it went even farther, that she could kill him and he'd be fine with that. In fact, that he would kill him gladly if given the chance. Even Edward would kill him if he didn't think that they needed him for stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Olaf is one of my favorite characters, though. He's so interesting. He's so creepy and weird, but he's also one of my favorite characters in the whole series.
I knew that already.
You knew what already? That Olaf was one of my favorite characters? Or not. My internet's not working.
Great. How much of this video?
How much of what video for what?
So much of this video is me Michaela, come back.
I know. So much of our Pendragon things are too. But luckily, this is the last one I have to do here. And then all of my other ones will be at school, which is much better internet. Much more consistent.
See it? Yeah. Or don't have.
Say what now?
Okay.
I'm trying. It's really spiky.
That was her character was. I don't want to hear about that.
Whose favorite character about what?
Yours. The
Mine?
only other person in this room.
Gretchen's? I don't know who's Gretchen's favorite character was. So, like I was saying, Olaf for the whole series is one of my favorite characters of all time because he's so creepy and interesting, and I really love creepy people. They intrigue me. Can you hear me?
Not killer fetish.
Serial killer fetish?
I'm not sure of that. It falls under the same jurisdiction in my mind.
Okay.
Where people, it's he's just eating people. It's like, can I don't. It was so good. Oh, Michaela.
What was so good?
All of my, complaining about serial killer fetishes.
Yeah. I missed it.
This is cool. And then you're gone.
It's so sucky. Internet work.
You there?
Maybe?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm holding.
My internet keeps fluctuating. It won't just stick to a
I understand.
thing.
I'm not actually blaming you.
Okay. What were you saying about serial killer porn? You were complaining about it.
No, I was complaining, well, because you were talking about how you found Olaf and his creepiness interesting, and I took that as a chance for a tangent in how I really hate the serial killer fetish.
Okay.
Like, with all of the Hannibal fans, for example.
Oh, okay.
Where they're like, oh, he's like eating people and then talking to people over dinner and they don't know that they're eating people. And he's like, it's so dark and he's like so evil and he's like killing people.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't like the glorification of awful people because we romanticize it.
No.
I'm not saying that what you are doing in this instance is that.
I'm not. Oh, no, he's a terrible person, but I just really love reading about him because it's rare to have somebody scare Anita. And he terrifies her. And I love that. Like, it's nothing to do with, like, who he is. I would love for him to die, but it's also
because it changes up Anita's situation in an interesting way, and I can totally hear that. But at the same time, it touches so close to something that really bothers me in the media.
Yeah, no, I get it. I got you. On top of that, or aside from that, I also really love Wicked and Truth. They're so sweet.
Fun.
They're so sweet, and
they were really fun.
Truth getting wicked drunk off of wicked drunk. Truth getting drunk off her blood was so hilarious to me.
It was nice, but so short. Like, as soon as she finished her conversation on the phone, he was sober and ready to ride.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, one, convenient, but like, it was such a short gimmick. I don't know.
So
that is one thing I wouldn't have minded a bit of fan service for it just to be played out.
It was sort of glossed over here, but it's supposed to be harkening back to a scene from one of the earlier books where Jean-Claude gets drunk because he first
did mention that.
He first drinks werewolf blood and then Anita's blood, and basically the amount of power that a person has can actually make a vampire drunk. But I also think that they process it so quickly that it doesn't last very long at all. And yeah, she had like a phone call that distracted from what would have been so hilarious.
No, I would have appreciated it if, she gave him some shit afterwards over it. But like they moved on, and I'm going to be honest, that kind of disappointed me.
You know what disappoints me? Not more Wicked and Truth every book.
Yeah.
I think the next time they show up is not in the newest book, but the book before this newest book. wherein they
So,
both take a
like,
dance class. The penultimate book so far.
what?
They take a dance class, and she goes
I
to
have
their
to wait
recital.
for
It's
the-
so good.
They take a dance class together.
Yeah.
Are they like Zumbaing on the stage? No, I'm sorry. You don't like perform Zumba. I know.
But it's great because there are these huge like characters that are known for their warrior abilities taking a dance class.
And they're doing tango. What is it in 2 a.m. at the cat's pajamas where it's like, when the couple takes this dance class, it's like it's at its lowest. Was it tango?
Salsa dancing?
Salsa dancing. Oh, I want them to be in like a salsa dance class.
To be fair, a lot of the characters that Anita loves take dance classes because they're strippers, right?
That is true. Yeah.
So they take dance to not only just to practice dance, but to stay limber and be more flexible and graceful and stuff. And I don't know if Wicked and Truth strip at Jean-Claude's strip club, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and that's why they took that class. But I just always just loved imagining these two huge warrior dudes at a dance recital.
Oh yeah, and
Flawless.
I imagine that if they do strip, it's not because they actually work as strippers. They, just kind of felt like it one day.
Yeah, they're like, you know what? Sure.
Someone asked and they just kind of shrugged.
They're kind of my favorite people. They're always sweet, and it's just good. It's just good.
They've got the blue steel pout.
I also there's so many implications of Wicked, and in particular Truth, being particularly tied with Anita, because when they became blood oathed to Jean-Claude, they technically did it through Anita by drinking Anita's blood. Usually you drink the vampire's blood directly, but it was like an emergency situation.
Okay.
So we sort of get this idea that Truth might not have gotten so affected by everything if it wasn't Anita. Like there's something specific about her that affects especially Truth, but both of them in tandem, because they seem to have a weird connection at the same time. And I just want that to be explored because it's interesting to me how that works. And like,
what was that? Oh, we were doing so well. So well we were doing. She'll be back. Actually, I realize we're going to be talking about least favorite characters next, and I'm really not sure I have one. Huh. Yeah, she'll be back. I suppose I was really bored by the police chief after a while, because all he did.
Oh, who did what?
Oh, I'm just talking about my least favorite character, where I guess my answer is the police chief.
Yeah.
Because he showed up constantly and was just kind of like... and that got a little tiring.
Such a dick.
But you know what? I didn't mind his role in the story. It's just no one else really bothered me.
Yeah.
It was fine.
You kind of hate him because you're supposed to hate him, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was very good at it.
Yeah.
He tottered along the line of occasionally making me think he was going to be won over by Anita, and then he stopped.
Didn't work out.
Joke's on you.
Joke's on you, guy. He hates everybody. I don't know that I have a least favorite character in this book. Bibiana kind of annoyed me because she was just being pouty and annoying, and I'm like, you're a queen. Stop doing that.
Yeah, okay, so if the police chief was like, rah, 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 she was like,
the other side of that coin.
Yeah. It wasn't like the Jove coin. No, it was just 2 frequencies of frown.
She
I hate them.
was just so pissy. And I'm like, you're causing your own problems. Shut up. Worst.
Yeah, but no, I think that's the worst I have to say about anyone.
Gretchen will be surprised that you didn't just go, God, I hated this book. Because that's what she was expecting yesterday.
Really?
That you were just going to be like, nah, I didn't like it. And I was like, I don't think that he would dislike it that much. And she was like, nah, I don't think he's going to like it. And I was like, all right, we'll see.
Guys, I like YA. I also really like fantasy.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the Dresden Files, which is the same urban fantasy as Anita Blake.
But with a dude as the protagonist.
Like, it's all totally different, but it was directly inspired by Anita Blake.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, that's how he learned to write. He just decided to write a novel like that. I really like this stuff. Gretchen just has terrible choices. Because she doesn't pick things that she thinks will be good. She just says, hey, I got this.
I don't know. I think that her picks this summer with she was excited.
Okay. I sort of got that in that these were things she was excited about, which, all right, fair. But Gretchen's taste is good. She has good taste in books. She also has a very wide range that does not always apply to things that are good. Yeah, I'm sticking with that. Just kind of had an awkward pause because you left again. I just want to talk about the end. Like, I'm really looking forward to that part of the discussion. So as soon as you're back,
I'm back.
Like,
I'm here.
Okay. Because what
were you looking forward
to? Well, I mean, I could continue to slate Gretchen's choice in books, but you know what? That's an old horse, and it's been dead a long time. I'm excited to talk. Yeah, no, no one's denying that. No, what I am really excited to talk about is the end of this book.
Okay.
Or rather, the climax of it. Pun intended. No, I needed to make the joke.
Okay.
No, because it was really, really refreshing to see like a major conflict resolved. One, yes, it was violent because the villain kind of got torn apart by were animals, but I'm just gonna be honest, like, I loved that this book was solved by a blowjob.
Oh yeah.
That was awesome.
Shouldn't all books be all problems be solved by a blowjob? Shouldn't they just all be that way?
I mean, I can't quite say yes, but I would say most of the time. No, like, one, that was just it was a little bit funny. Like, out of context, it was a little bit funny. But in, the situation, like, rationally, I did not see that coming, where she was like using his, basically his kink against him because he had been millennia without functioning sex organs, and that kind of drove him mad, apparently. So she's like, yeah, I totally just use that, so I have power over you because sex magic. And I was like, bro.
Hashtag the one time my magic is relevant.
So that scene where everyone just throws back their arms like, what? And like, you know what, that sick burn or something like that? That's what I
Yeah.
was like. I was like, what? I did not see that coming. Like, it was very clearly leading up to that. I just did not. Oh, no, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
It was good. I loved it. What do you think of the mother of all darkness, father of the day duality, sort of? That is a big part of this book.
I think I lacked some of the fundamental information to understand what that means.
Okay.
Besides that, when he is strong, he can walk in the daylight.
Right. So it's sort of, there's theories that they're the first two vampires. They're the original vampires.
That stands to reason. I definitely
Um,
got that for the Mother of Night, so by extension,
Yeah.
it would be.
But they also have complete opposite powers, but also a lot of very similar powers. They both have power over tigers. But one basically can move through darkness without a physical form. Like, as long as it's dark, she can be anywhere. And the other is basically a vampire who can walk in the sun, which is an almost unheard of power because they always catch on fire. But it makes him so powerful because he could just be out in the daylight looking like a person.
Mm-hmm.
No one would know.
Okay.
Well, some people would know, but no one would know. So they were rivals constantly fighting for the same amount of power.
Yes.
But they also are like feared so much by all of the vampires that Anita's sort of worried about. Like Jean-Claude's maker, who she appears briefly in this, I feel like.
Yeah, they had a conversation.
In a dream sequence, yeah.
Yes.
Anita's really Anita's really afraid of her because she is very creepy. And she doesn't show up very often.
She has a dumb name.
Belmort.
That's a really dumb name.
Yeah. But she's also like wicked sexy or whatever.
Yeah, she's like beautiful death. That's how sexy she is. But she's also deadly because she's a vampire.
Yeah. Hashtag French vampires.
It's a dumb name.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know.
Like Laurel K Hamilton, I love you from a distance in a completely respectable way. But that's a dumb name.
Anyway.
Not like as it was a bad choice. It's just a really silly name. I can't take it seriously.
I feel like
that vampire totally chose the name when she was in high school, and then it's just stuck as her email address.
So here's what I have to say about that. Laurel K Hamilton wrote a blog post the other day about the fact that she didn't want, a couple of weeks ago when the new book was coming out. She wrote a blog post talking about how she didn't want Jean-Claude to be French initially, but he, like, as a character, she wanted him to be Spanish because she spoke Spanish, so she could use that. She didn't speak French when she started writing these books, and Belmore is introduced very early on, so I feel like the person, she complained basically about the fact that the person she had hired to help her with the French stuff was actually not very good at French, so it might be that thing.
That sucks. Oh my god. You pay them and they're bad at French.
But she had no way of knowing that she was bad at French, right?
Yeah. Whoa.
So, background check your language partners when writing books, folks.
For reals. So, like, the best this person could give her was Belmort.
Yep.
Oh, man. Like, at least Voldemort, like, it plays out a bit. It's subtle.
Nah, Belmort, man.
Nah.
That's all you get.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I was very mean. She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve any of that.
Poor Belmort is in the corner pouting. I didn't choose this name. We don't even know if I don't even think that she has any other name. She's only ever referred to as that. So,
Well,
there's that. In the same way that the Wicked Truth are the Wicked Truth. They probably had names that are not Wicked in Truth, but that's what they got, so.
I don't know, for some reason that seems a little less silly to me.
The Wicked Truth?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
As sort of try-hard as it still is for them, but, you know, that's a vampire for you.
But I also don't think they name themselves. Like, I feel like so many people get their really terrible nicknames because, like, somebody else was like, oh yeah, those guys, and talked about them in that way. I don't know if there's anything else that I want to touch upon. Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Actually, no. I think I covered everything.
Oh, the Wicca representation. There was that.
That coven?
Yeah. So there's
with the psychic.
Yes. These also there's a lot of Middle Eastern lore and magic in this one with the jinn. But I always feel like she does a really good job of representing different religious views and lores in her books. And Anita accepting different religions as fair while being Christian, and like how that's cool. Like, I like the way that's represented here.
Yeah, I am not really qualified, nor would I want to present myself in any way to be to speak on the quality of the representations, like how accurate they are in what she's trying to do. I think they were, especially with the Wicca, was done with a lot of respect.
I think Laurel K Hamilton either is Wicca or used to be Wicca, because she celebrates the solstices and such, which I believe if I remember from my learning about Wicca, is something that they do a lot. A lot of giving and receiving, sevenfold and all that stuff.
Yes, yeah, fair enough. I will say I'm glad you brought this up, actually, because I found the jinn really kind of, throwaway. They didn't seem to really do anything in this narrative. They were given as kind of this secret explanation for like, oh, this is why we don't recognize anything. And then we don't really see anything happen with them. The way it's resolved is just she's saying, oh, I guess Rocco said the words, so now they're gone and we can move. But it was, I don't know, nothing really happened with them. I didn't actually feel they were a threat because we just moved around it. It slowed things down, basically. I don't know. Maybe that was just me. Maybe you're not even here to reply.
I'm here, but I didn't hear what you said.
None of it?
None of it. I heard yes at the beginning. That's all I had.
I found the jinn to be really disappointing as a part of the plot because they didn't do anything. They just slowed things down without ever really appearing or being a threat. They were just misdirection at the beginning and a roadblock at the end.
Okay. So you wanted them to pose more of a threat specifically to the community and to Anita?
No, I just wanted them to actually feel like they were part of this story and not just mentioned. Yeah.
I can agree with that. I can say that's a fair call. But yeah, they do sort of seem gimmicky at times. Like, it was Jim the whole time.
It was convenient because it slowed things down so other things could happen.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, is an important thing. Misdirection is an important
It was necessary,
tool
yeah.
when writing. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Didn't
also
really feel
important.
satisfied with them. With that arc.
Yeah. I think that if they were main villain of this, of like there was for whatever reason a djinn outbreak here, that would be fair, but they're more or less just tools of the Father of the Day.
Mm-hmm.
He has control
Yes.
over them, so he used them when it was appropriate to use them, and that was it.
Yeah. So yeah, there was that.
Yeah.
No, I guess that is the closest thing I have to a rant, and I have. Okay, aside from the serial killer thing, but that was irrelevant to the story itself. No, I am satisfied.
Okay. Would you read another Anita Blake book?
I have read ones before this. I would definitely. I would actually be very interested in the one where the Marshal Service is formed from what you mentioned of that, because I think that would really suit me. And it sounds like this is a series where you can actually kind of pick and choose stories based off what someone suggests for what you're looking for.
Yeah, for a fair amount of them, but there are some that are kind of very clearly linked together.
That's fine.
I can try and figure out which one that was in. I don't remember. It was fairly early on, but I'll do my best for you because I care.
You do care. No rush, though. Maybe they'll make it a graphic novel.
Yeah, they're working on that. Although I don't know if they're doing the other ones in graphic novel form or if they're doing completely new stories in graphic novel form.
I know they did the first one at least. So
the first, they did the first 3 books in graphic novel form and one novella type thing called The First Death, which is when Anita meets Edward for the first time.
So maybe they'll continue it a bit. Who knows?
Yeah.
Possibilities.
Who knows? Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have any closing? Michaela, would you read another Anita Blake book?
Yeah, because I've read all of them and will read all of them that come out. I also really recommend her second series called the Mary Gentry series, which has to do with fairies and fairies.
That is your thing, yeah.
Yeah.
You do like those fairies.
Yeah, I do like those. It's also another representation of polygamy in literature. We didn't really talk about it aside from mentioning at the beginning.
The twin action, yeah.
Yeah, but like
I don't know.
It's just a thing. Like, I guess that's a good thing that it's not made too much of a experience in this. It's just kind of how it is in life.
It was interesting within the context of the world. I found her internal struggle, let's say, about needing to take these people to bed in order to feed and survive and not go insane. And the conflicts with her and her friends and everything, it was all cool. That was interesting. And then also just as a lifestyle, I think it worked well. It was interesting. Yeah.
I guess that's it. Do you want to tell people? Well, okay. So this was our last episode for the summer. We usually do special episodes at various points throughout the year. Usually over our breaks because we're going back to college this weekend. But there are still 4 more episodes of my Pendragon series: Quillian Games, Pilgrims of Rain, Raven Rise, and the last one, Soldiers of Hala. Yes, 4 more episodes of our Pendragon thing. That's happening. And there's a book that Gretchen wants us to read that she's read and thinks we'll both like to redeem her at some point, either over Thanksgiving break or maybe fall break, that little long weekend that we have. So that will be coming up hopefully for you guys.
And we have some special edition podcasts that we've been talking over, like we want to discuss This Book is Full of Spiders alongside Casey, which would sort of be a sequel episode to John Dies at the End
Mm-hmm.
from last season. So we will have more things coming out. Yeah.
Yes. Thumbs up to you guys.
Then there's the K-pop. That's something else on the
Oh,
horizon.
Hopefully we'll have
within
one.
the week, actually.
Yeah, we'll have one of those out. For you guys, where it's all about summer pop stuff. Woo.
Yeah, to close off the summer.
Yeah.
You know.
So all that summer pop you missed out on when it was relevant.
Yeah. No, this is kind of like the last hurrah, if you will, of summer.
Yeah.
You get to jam out with some Girls' Generation beach playlists.
Mm-hmm. Where can people find you on the internet, Taylor, aside from our podcasts and such?
I actually exist in the corporeal world, actually.
Well, what?
You can find me. Yeah, I know. It was so funny, right? So funny. I'm a riot. You can find more gems like that at E.T. Greenwood on Twitter.
And that's it.
Yeah. No. Actually, since we're moving, we're going to be in Ithaca soon, where I will actually have an internet connection. I'm going to be able to start streaming again, where you can find me at Telade, Telade, on Twitch. Yeah, so if you'd want to hear me not talk about books when I'm being bad at video games, that's where you want to find me.
It's true. Hi, I'm Michaela. I said that already. I have a blog. It's called thepipepipercalls.wordpress.com, where I talk about books and K-pop and comics for the most part. I'm at pipepipercalls pretty much everywhere, all over the internet, if you want to find me, including on Twitch. I also stream occasionally. I have the idea that I would like to stream me going crazy trying to get all of the Riddler trophies in the newest Batman game for PS4. Plus, I need to do more Dark Souls since I finally got past the stupid demon on the bridge and immediately died to a dragon because fuck you, says that game.
It's a really dickish scene.
It's so mean. I was like, all of my souls, I had like thousands. What are you doing? Why would you do that to me?
Anyway,
Yes.
we'll talk about Dark Souls later in the week when we can stream together.
Yes.
In that case, I think we can end this video though, because we're going very far.
Yes. That's fine. We're off
Far beyond.
Have fun, guys. We'll see you around. I'm also going to try and make videos on my YouTube channel that are book related if you want book related stuff and not video game related stuff or K-pop related stuff. But that's it. Okay. Bye, guys.
Stay frosty.